Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast and our new Tuesday special segment featuring our team of experts. We're going to be right back, but we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. These are all great companies that I used as an athletic director. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And if you go to hometownticketing.com, their team is going to show you how to set up and sell your tickets online. Hometown is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to gipper.com. Let their team help you create world-class sports content for your school social media channel. It helps you celebrate your athletes, promote your teams. Gipper's used and trusted by over 3,000 high school and college athletic programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. That's gipper.com. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. We want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to help you take the pulse of your student athletes or your parents, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to connect you with the parents that want to gripe about everything, but they're also going to connect you with the 98% of your parents that support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. That's athleticsurveys.com. We want to say thanks to, we also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to the highest level. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and got little, if any, return? Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. It's hands down the best fundraising platform out there. We use it at our school with great success. They also have a lot of other platforms like Snap Connect, Snap Store to help you do your job better. You can find them all at snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live web demo. See their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school and state association platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for things like student athlete eligibility and clearance, scheduling, working with state associations, you name it, Home Campus can do it. Go to homecampus.com, talk to their great team. That's homecampus.com. And we want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. Also a great way to show off your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast and our special Tuesday expert segment. We've got a team of 10 professionals from the world of athletics, different perspectives, though. And back for her second installment is truly a friend of the show. Our guest today is Asia Mape. Regular listeners will recognize that name, but if not, Asia was an elite college athlete and then had a career in sports, but behind the camera. She was a 4-time Emmy-winning producer. And also a few years ago, she founded an organization, a website called simply, I Love to Watch You Play. It's a tremendous resource for athletic directors, coaches, parents, and just sports fans. Asia, as I say, it's always great to talk with you, but what do you have for our listeners this week on our Super Tuesday segment?
Thanks so much, Jake. Yeah, happy to be here. And we've talked a little bit about this in the past. And I wrote an article about my daughter, Piper, and she's my oldest. And she ended up quitting her sport, and she was really, really good at it. And it was a really difficult period. And I learned so much when we went through this. And a few years later, I decided to write an article about it. And I had sort of processed a lot of what went wrong on her journey, where I could have been better. There are a lot of factors that lead to a decision like that, especially when it's something like sports that you've put so much into, and she was really good at too. So, that for her, there were things like COVID and her budding art interests and being too exhausted from water polo practices to do her art at night, as well as a health scare that she was dealing with. But when I really sort of looked back at, all of our missteps and, what went right and more importantly, what went wrong, I sort of brought it all together in this one article. And it's been great because it's just been therapeutic for myself and Piper's relationship. After writing it, she read it, and she really doesn't read anything that I put on the website. And, I think it was the first time, even though we talked about it and I'd apologized about a lot of things that I had done or wish I could have done differently. And, but I think for her seeing it, in words on paper and reading it really sort of settled in, and I think a block that we had between us. And that's one of the worst things that happens, right, when parents sort of pass that line from support to pressure, is that your relationship suffers. And so I really love this article, and I'm about to share it. That's kind of the main thing I'm going to do on today's episode. But I wanted to give that little bit of backstory and just tell really what a difference it's made, not just for a lot of people who read it and who have reached out and said it's been helpful, but also for my own situation with my daughter. So here we go. It's called My Daughter Quit Sports, and this is what youth sports parents need to know. I say, so this is my oldest daughter, Piper. And yes, I got her permission to write this. She's a water polo player. Well, she used to be. She dreamed of playing for the Olympic team, went to water polo summer camps, made the Olympic development team, and spent a week at the Olympic training camp in Colorado. She even filmed a TV show with Cam Newton about her dream of playing in the Olympics. She said she wanted to play in college. She chose her high school based on her water polo coach, and she played for 8 years. Piper quit sports right before her senior season of high school. How did this fearless water baby who fell in love with the sport go from wanting to dedicate her life to it to feeling overwhelming anxiety from it and not wanting to play at all? As a youth sports parent, is this your worst nightmare? Your child and your family sacrifice hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars, and you're a carpool mom extraordinaire, and you make special game day muffins, and many of your friends are the parents from the team. You've already made a college recruiting video. You're so invested. And in fact, you're even on the board of the club team. Well, this was me. And then poof, one day they quit. It's gone in a flash, and you're left wondering, what was it all for? Where did we go wrong? And why didn't I do something about her unhappiness sooner? So those are the questions that I think about a lot. And the answers are complex and layered with guesswork and a lot of guilt. But what I do know is that I learned a lot about what works and what doesn't, and how even the best intentioned parents can lose focus on what truly matters, their child's happiness. My hope is that by sharing this, others might learn from my mistakes, and get it right, or at least more right. There are so many things that go into a decision to quit that are unique and personal to the athlete. And as I said, for mine, there was COVID, a health scare, and her passion for art. Piper quitting has undeniably been the best thing for her and for our relationship. She's happier in doing what she's meant to do, creating incredible art and attending art school. And I've continued to support her wholeheartedly on this journey. However, several issues surfaced when she was still playing water polo that drastically affected her desire to continue to want to play. So I wrote this article to help all of us youth sports parents who are still in the trenches. So here are the top 5 things sports parents need to know. We didn't listen. So the day Piper let her coach know she wasn't coming back didn't happen suddenly. She had been trying to tell us she was unhappy for several years. I just didn't listen. I didn't make enough changes to help her stay in love with the game, or at the very least in like with it. They are usually telling us, even if they don't know how to say it directly. Piper was telling us since childhood that sports weren't going to be her thing. Mom, I'm going to be an actor, not an athlete. She said this at 5 when I was trying to get her to go to the basketball courts to practice with me. I pushed that memory down deep and tried to pass it off as just one of the many funny things she said. Since her father and I both played D1 sports in college and worked in sports, I don't think she ever really felt she had much of a choice. Sports were all she knew. It was our life, and so it was hers. But she did drop clues, and I ignored them. I didn't give her space or opportunities to talk openly about it. And even worse, maybe, when she would try, I would get angry and defensive. I thought she was unmotivated or lazy. I had an agenda, and I didn't give her enough encouragement about her own dreams and passions early on. We really have to listen to our kids, even if they can't say it directly, and oftentimes they can't. They know how important it is to us, so they may have a hard time being direct. But don't ignore their subtle and not so subtle hints. Have open discussions and listen without getting defensive or upset, and constantly help them reassess their goals and then align with their needs and wants instead of pushing our own agenda. Number 2, don't treat them like mini adults. It's called the professionalization of youth sports. And when my kids were little, I treated them like they were mini adults training to be Olympians. I knew how to help them get better. I just didn't know how to create an environment for a lifelong love of sport. It's no wonder my kids didn't end up playing my sport, basketball. When we would go out to play, I'd correct their form and get frustrated if they were running around and not listening. They literally called me the fun stucker and made slurping sounds. I treated them like they had similar motivations as I did. I'm a self-help junkie. I want to be better and improve all the time. They didn't. They were kids. They wanted to have fun and laugh and run around and play a little basketball. So to all the parents out there at the park doing privates with your 7-year-olds, videotaping their practices, watching them every second, just stop. No judgment here. I was the same, but save your money, save your time, and keep it fun and light. And if at 13 they still love it, then go all in. You are slowly taking all the fun, creativity, and ownership out of it for them. Instead of doing a private, play with them at the park and laugh and giggle and just have fun. They are getting already plenty of serious hours in at their practices. Number 3, support versus pressure. Crossing the line from supporting to pressuring our kids can be very fine, but when you do it, it's just as impactful as the most aggressive, over-the-top parent out there. Once you cross over, it's incredibly hard to come back and repair that damage. But you must try, because if your child deems that your interest or your influence goes beyond their happiness and well-being, well, then we've probably already lost them. And it may not show itself at 7, 10, 16, or even 20, but eventually it will. And it's not just quitting or a strained relationship between the child and the parent that can occur. It can be subtle, like a slow and steady loss of joy and ownership that will eventually lead to quitting or resentment, both of which we dealt with. The most important way parents can support their athletes is to do just that. Support looks like loves and hugs, excitement, a happy face in the crowd, and a welcoming car ride home, regardless of the outcome on the field. It doesn't look like expecting a return on investment for the time and money spent. It doesn't place sports above family and school, and it definitely doesn't look like a steady dose of anger and disappointment. I struggled with this and still sometimes do, but don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect yet, but put in the work, be mindful, and be aware when you're crossing that line. You must trust their process, not your agenda or your dreams. Be there to catch them when they fall and congratulate them when they succeed. Number 4, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm not saying don't try and motivate them or encourage them when they need a little push, but allow them space to make their own choices, to miss practice, to miss a tournament, to miss a club season. Water polo is one of the most demanding sports. You train 5 or 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day in high school, and go right into club season. And sometimes you even do swim team after and in between. It's incredibly grueling. We should have given Piper a little bit of time off when she first started saying that she needed it. But it's hard because youth sports is all about FOMO, and we're so afraid that our kid is going to miss out and then end up being left behind. But a youth past athlete's development is not straight up. They're going to be bumps and turns and twists and going 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. And if you don't allow for this, and if you focus too much on the short term, the end result will not be good. I promise you. Let them miss a camp. Let them miss a game. Take them out to ice cream instead. Yes, there might be immediate consequences, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the long-term play. And if the kid is doing every camp and every training, they're probably going to burn out or get injured right around the time your kid is peaking, if you allow them time off when they need it for their mental or physical. Try not to get caught up in that rat race. Let this question guide your every decision. Is this what's best for the health, happiness, and well-being of my child? Ask yourself this question all the time. And if you can answer it honestly, you won't go wrong. And the final one is stop nagging them about effort. We were constantly on Piper about effort. And one of my worst days as a sports parent was sitting in the car in between games and just berating her about her lack of effort and suggesting, maybe you should quit if you care so little. I'm actually very ashamed of this and wish so often I could take that day back. The topic of effort for us was a constant strain in our home. As we all know, right? It's one of the few things an athlete can control, or at least that's what we've all been told. But can they always or consistently? How many of you work out? You go for a run, you go to the gym, you do the Peloton. I have to imagine each day you have a different focus, a different energy, and sometimes you're crushing it, and sometimes you're just not. You simply have no gas in your tank. It can be because of what you ate, your stress levels, your emotional output that day. You had an argument with someone you care about, or how much you slept. So many external factors affect your workout. Now add on top of that, you're 13 and your brain hasn't fully developed, or you're going through puberty and your hormones are raging. Now imagine you're watching your child play and they're having a bad game. They aren't getting up and down the field well, and they can't seem to get a shot off, or mentally they seem out of it, or even worse, their effort seems low. And so how do we respond? I know for Piper, I didn't respond well. Instead, call them up, inspire them, motivate them. Don't call them out or don't say anything at all unless they want to talk about it. J.P. Nerbin, an author and coach consultant, wrote a book called Calling Up. And if you struggle in this area, I highly recommend it. I was not a very good sports parent for Piper, and it makes me sad that she quit and didn't get to realize all her potential. But I did learn so much and grew so much from parenting her, and that experience has helped me do better with her sisters. That being said, I still make mistakes all the time. We all do. But in the end, I think we all want what's best for our kids. We just get lost sometimes trying to get there. I recently asked Piper if she regretted all the time she spent playing sports, as she's now an artist with dreams of directing an animated series on television. I wondered if she felt it was a waste of her time. She thought about this and acknowledged that she wasn't happy for quite a while before we allowed her to quit. But then she said, and I quote, "I'm glad I did it. I think I learned a lot about myself, and I know when those other artists get tired and give up, I know I'm tough and can outlast them." Water polo definitely gave her grit. We'll never know how far Piper could have gone with water polo or how much it set her back with her art, But I do believe the intangibles an athlete gets from playing sports is a gift that's hard to get anywhere else in life. I can still get a little choked up when I see an old Facebook memory pop up from a tournament or a game, but overall, Piper's quitting has been positive. Our relationship improved, and most importantly, she seems happier and less stressed. As one reader shared, I like to call it retiring, not quitting. Everyone reaches that decision at some point. And another parent wrote, when Tom Brady finally retires, well, this article is a little old. Obviously, he has. We aren't going to say he's quitting football. Our kids don't need to feel guilty for making that decision. It's not quitting, it's finding another interest. All right, Jake, that's all I have for today on this topic.
Well, again, you and I spoke about this. I had read the article. I think that may even have been the reason I reached out to you to have you on the podcast. At least that's what I'll tell myself, because it covers so many of the the roller coaster of emotions that any parent whose kid's involved in sports has. Let's say in this multi-generation. I'm so much older than you, but I can certainly relate. And the comment that Piper shared about, yeah, I'm glad I did it, and I know it's going to make me tougher. Our three kids, who are all in their 30s, and all three dabbled in college sports a little bit. They have said the same thing, that they look back in their sports experience, positively. I I don't think I don't think I've shared this in this particular form. I think I was pretty good on the sports dad side with my kids. I was not good as, let's say, as a fan, as a sports fan. And I've apologized to hundreds of people over the years for that. And I was an athletic director. I was a head coach. But yeah, that drive home, those moments, and again, we're all on a journey, and we're on journey as a parents, and your journey led you to create the website. I love to watch you play. And I think I shared this with you when you were on the podcast for your interview. That line, that phrase, I don't know if it's trademarked or copyrighted, or if you coined it or not, but that is used so very frequently in our world of athletic administration as we talk to parents. We will literally say it's I think it's in one of our courses. Parents, you have two jobs: cheer like crazy for your kid, cheer like crazy for the team, cheer, and then at the end of the game, all you got to do is say, "I'd love to watch you play." It's literally written out in our handbook. So we try. So great story. And again, you and I talked about this, but I think it bears repeating. You're sharing this letter on your website, and there's knuckleheads that are commenting on it. Well, who are you to have a sports web page, when you're, not when you're doing these things to your daughter? I mean, just completely missing the point of the experience. But yeah, thanks
Yeah,
so
if
much
if only we were all perfect, right? Like,
it,
it is what it is. You only, I think, like, anyone who's a parent, you know, knows that it's hard and there's nobody doing it perfectly. And if they say they are, they're either they're not very self-aware, or they're lying to themselves. And I am grateful for I think a lot of what I can bring to the site are through my mistakes, and I am incredibly imperfect. And I think it's just important that we continue to learn and grow. And that's what I love to do, is share what I'm learning. And, and I'm just glad it's a little helpful to people. And I do want to say, Jake, I wish I could say that that was our term and we coined that phrase, but it's actually from an amazing study done many years ago. And I'm blanking right now on the researchers who did it. They're still involved in youth sports. And then actually John O'Sullivan, who has a great, amazing, everyone pretty much, changing the game. We heard it on his TED Talk. So we're like three removed from the saying, but I sure am glad that it gets associated with what we're doing, and that people just use it. Just use it. It's a brilliant phrase.
Oh, absolutely spot on. Thanks for that. Little bit of background. Maybe a sharp listener will reach out to both of us and say, "Well, this is who first coined that term," but it's great. It's lovely. That's why we use it. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Asia, if one of our listeners wants to reach out, connect with you, add you to their list of network associates, and also find out more information from the website. What's the name of the website, and how do they get a hold of you?
So it's ilovetowatchyouplay.com, all written out, all one word. And then we have social media, Instagram and Facebook. And Instagram is the I Love to Watch You Play, because some mom has I Love to Watch You Play, and I keep trying to reach out to her, but it's a private Instagram account, and she hasn't responded. And then Facebook is I Love to Watch You Play. And yeah, we have Twitter, TikTok, the whole nine, but any of those places. And if anyone has any comments or wants to share or tell their stories, I love getting, guest writers and even parents who want to share their stories, just email me, asia@ilovetowatchyouplay.com.
Yeah, and I think that's a great feature of your website. It has original content from you, but you also post content. It's just tremendous. I think there's 6 or 8 articles up there right now. Every single one of them is worth your time to read as an athletic director. So, Asia, thanks as always for sharing. All the best in the continuing seasons, and
Thank you,
we'll look
Jake.
forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's always great. Thank you. For our listeners, we do this just about every single week, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate your support and your listening. Come back next Tuesday for one of our experts, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. Well, what a great story, a true story, and something I think a lot of us can relate to. So again, I love to watch you play is the website. Before we go, we want to thank our sponsors, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. You've heard me say before, at our school, we use surveys for just about everything. Go to athleticsurveys.com, let them create a custom survey for you. We want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com to get signed up. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's simply a great way to show off your school record boards, your school's Hall of Fame, or tell your school's compelling stories. VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. We'd like to say thanks to Snap Mobile. Snap Mobile is the parent company. Snap Raise is the fundraising arm. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. It's the best online fundraiser out there, the best. We want to thank Gipper for their support. Go to Gipper.com. Let their team show you how to create world-class content for your school's social media channel. It's so easy, even I can use it. It's Gipper.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. Let their team get you going. Hometownticketing.com. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo to see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. That's sidelineinteractive.com. And we want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for scheduling, student athlete eligibility and clearance, showing parents how to upload those forms, and a whole lot more. Go to homecampus.com to get started. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.